And just so everyone knows, we're going to be recording the meeting as well.
Okay, is that for public distribution, Matthew?
Yeah, we recorded the meeting last year and then had that available on the co-op's website just for people that aren't able to attend the meeting this evening.
That's great. I appreciate that. I'd like to keep things open and get the word out to everyone. So welcome and thank you for tuning in. Very sorry we're not in person this year, but we still have the spirit. And we're going to keep carrying on. The co-op is in very good shape. So please make sure your microphone is muted. And we will have time at the end of the meeting for questions and answers. Something very pressing, you can click on the raise hand icon if you have a question. And you can, the best thing to do is to type questions into the chat box. And Ruby has asked, so we know who everyone is. If you have a pseudonym that you're going by, we'd like you to sign in with your Putney Co-op membership name so we can keep track of the members. So welcome and thank you all for coming. We'll get some reports going soon and chat about the past year and the current status of things. I'd like to turn this over to Pip Bannister, who is our awards, our #1 awards presenter from the board. Pip, can you step in here?
Yes. Is everyone able to see me?
Yep, we can see you.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just have my screen set up in a way that I can't see myself,
Just as well.
which I probably could figure out if I was 17. Hello, folks. There are 2 awards presented annually by the co-op: the Clarence Falk Award and the Carol and Laurie Brown Award. The Clarence Falk Award is presented to a Putney School 8th grader for academic and community achievement. And it's in memory of Clarence Falk, who was a Dummerston resident and was associated with the co-op as a board member and also the Experiment for International Living. The Clarence Falk Award selection is made every year by the Putney Central School 8th grade teaching team. And the teaching team this year has selected Lizzie Jutras from the 8th grade class. Am I saying Lizzie's last name right? I think her dad and she may be here. I don't know if they're muted.
I think Jen Hunt and Lizzie are here. I think,
Yes.
yeah.
I
Is
just
it
didn't-
Jutras?
It is June. Yes.
Okay, I didn't want to say it and keep repeating it if it was wrong. Herb commented that Lizzie is part of the student leadership group and that Lizzie has strong leadership skills in both her class and school-wide. And, hello.
Hi, sorry.
No, that's fun to see. And that Lizzie is always positive and upbeat. I usually get to embarrass the 8th graders with this introduction to, their incredible abilities. Herb also said that Lizzie never fails to step in and help out when she senses a need. So good on you. Applause from silent applause. So I think that's wonderful. We've had a number of recipients, and I started keeping track in 1998. So people that you might remember from your time, Mackenzie Sargent last year, and the year before Nash Miller. And I don't know whether you remember Tion Raglet and Leighton Laughlin. They were the 2018. It can go on and on. I've given you a list of the recipients, just because it's fun to see your name with all the other all-stars. There's also a plaque that has been prepared. I don't know whether this is backwards in the screen, but this is an example of what will be on a plaque that's available for you at the co-op. There's a bag with some goodies there. So just check in with someone at the front desk. They'll know where it is. It's in the back. And congratulations. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
I would just like to say thank you
Oh,
to everyone.
you're very welcome. Thank you for attending, and grab your goodie bag next time you're at the co-op. Okay, thank you.
will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next award, Carol and Lori Brown Award, is in memory of Carol Brown, who was a founding member of the co-op, and her nephew, Laurie Brown. And it's presented to a person displaying a cooperative spirit in the community. And I think I'm going to turn this over to Ruby. Is that correct? And Ruby will make this presentation.
It's going to be me, Ellen Strong.
Thank you, Ellen.
Yep, thanks, Pip. Well, we're very pleased to award the Carol and Lori Brown Award for service to the community to Emily Zervis, our librarian. Throughout the pandemic, and really since her time at the library, Emily and the library staff have shown again and again their deep commitment to our community and every member of our community, offering things from curbside pickup, take-home craft kits for the little ones, Zoom programming that hits pretty much any interest area, and Wi-Fi hotspots, just pretty much being a hub for making your life richer at the library, even when we can't go into the library. And most recently, and really notably, Emily spearheaded identifying and applying for the Summer Matters for All grant. She collaborated with other organizations, the Putney Food Shelf and Putney Community Cares and the town of Putney, to make sure that our kids who have been through so much were able to have as normal or fun or enriching of a summer as possible. The Summer Matters for All grant was instrumental with reopening the Putney pool and making it free for all area residents, stocking it with free snacks for kids and a food for kids market weekly, providing a variety of free programming from music to ninja class for all sorts of different ages and interests all summer long, along with running and all our outdoor summer reading program that the library traditionally does. Emily, you have made our community stronger, not only through the pandemic, but the roots have been growing for a long time. I want to say thank you on the behalf of the co-op and our community for your steadfast commitment and service to our community. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Ellen. I was really touched when Ruby got in touch about this. I thought she was getting in touch with me to ask who we should nominate. So imagine my surprise. But no, that's really sweet. And obviously I have a wonderful staff and a really wonderful community. And I want to thank the co-op for always being willing to be part of any new schemes that the library has that we invite you to be part of. The co-op has always been there, ready to go. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Pip, are we all set then?
Yes, Emily, pick up your goodie bag at the co-op.
Yeah. Great, great. I'd just like to say congratulations to these two marvelous women. We're so fortunate to have you in the community, and we really appreciate your energy and all that you do. And we're honored, the co-op's honored to be able to just honor you. And just thanks for what you do. And we'll see you in the co-op. Okay. Matthew, I think the next item on the agenda here is the president's report.
Yeah, that's the next report on the agenda. We do have this quick slide before that. Just, once again, recognizing and acknowledging the wonderful work that our staff at the Putney Food Co-op has done once again over the course of this year, working through the pandemic, and just sharing a few photos of our wonderful staff and wanting to thank them for all that they've done as well. And then I think that brings us to your report, Michael.
Okay. I just like to request one thing of all the participants, everybody tuning in tonight. If you could put a message in the chat box as to what you appreciate most from the co-op in the community. I think it will really help the staff and the management to get any feedback, and this is a good opportunity to do that. So when you get a chance, you just put any thoughts you have, or one of the things you really appreciate for the co-op in the chat box. Thank you. So as the head of the board, I get to address everyone. And as you all know, the co-op's doing very well. We've been lucky and we've worked really hard to weather the COVID pandemic in good shape. There've been a number of reasons for this. I think the big thank you and the kudos go to the remarkable and excellent staff at the co-op who've really been able to pull us through in spite of a lot of challenges and a lot of curveballs. They really had to change up the routines midstream in many cases. But they've really been there to service our community and to service all of us. Help us get our food, pretty important. It's just a big advantage of having a community market, able to respond to what the community needs and able to change up their work as needed. Okay. So it's been a very busy year for the co-op, and it's been financially successful year. And Carol, our treasurer, will go into that a little more deeply. We built a new cafe deck this year, and I got a chance to sit on that and enjoy it a couple of times myself. It was a lot of fun, wonderful. We had a very profitable year, and the profit for the co-op means profit sharing for member owners, funds to reinvest in the business, and more money to distribute to the dozens of community organizations and causes that the co-op donates to every year. The store is in very healthy shape in spite of product shortages and limited staffing. The staff has worked hard to keep product on the shelves. This is a problem for all people in the retail grocery business, as well as I think most businesses these days. And your board of directors has maintained a very full schedule, mostly meeting via Zoom. We're fortunate enough to have some in-person meetings and also an in-person day-long retreat, which was wonderful. And I'll go through that a little later, some of the board priorities for the year. Efforts to make good food more accessible to all members of the community are going on at the co-op. These things you really don't see all the time, but we're working hard to give discounts and extra food coupons for produce to those that are not a little more economically challenged than many of us are. The board and the staff have been working together and separately to address the challenges of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the community. We're trying to educate ourselves, and we're trying to take steps forward to make sure that the co-op is open and welcoming to all people, and that we get that message out so people can realize that. The co-op and the board continues to partner with dozens of regional co-ops and thousands of national co-op businesses to foster and strengthen the cooperative business model. Co-ops and cooperatives are really stronger together in many ways. They are businesses that exist for the members, the shareholders, the owners, and that's their focus. Profit is secondary. Profit is necessary, but secondary in co-ops. And I just wanted to share some information about the greater cooperative world that we really don't see, but the co-op is very involved with and gets a lot of support, which is extremely helpful. We belong to the Neighborhood Food Co-op Association, which is a group of over 40 co-ops and startup co-ops. I think there are about 11 startups going now in the region. That includes New England and the eastern part of New York State. The NFCA, in addition to advocating for co-ops and keeping communication open amongst the co-op community, the food co-op community in the region, has provided a lot of peer support for the COVID, which has helped management and the staff. They founded and they found what's called Food for All, which makes food more accessible to economically challenged members. And Neighboring Food Co-op, together with the staff at Putney Co-op, actually founded this idea and carried it out. And now it's gone national. Started here in New England, started here in Putney. The NFCA helps with special deals. They help new stores start up, which is a very big deal. I've had a couple of new stores start up in New England last year, and there are a few scheduled to come online next year. It takes millions of dollars and years to start a new co-op, but they are doing that. And Putney's part of the group that supports that, actively supports that. So I'm very proud. NFCA connects us to the New England Organic Farmers Association, to the the New England Farmers Union, Vermont Farm to Plate Organization, the National Co-op Business Association, and even the Federation of Southern Co-ops, which is a federation of co-ops, farmer co-ops in Georgia, and I believe Mississippi as well. We've been working with them and trying to help them along, and trying to get them to help us by sending products from Georgia directly up here to New England. So these are just some of the things that go on that we don't see, but they're happening all the time. We're so connected to the region, to the nation with food co-ops, to the nation with other co-op businesses, of which there are thousands. And we're also connected to the co-op the co-ops on a worldwide basis. So let me just tell you some of the board priorities for this coming year, and then we'll move along. The board, as I said, had a retreat, and these are some of our priorities, which we discussed. Improving financial oversight for the co-op, building diversity, equity, and inclusion knowledge and leadership in our community. We're going to be working on reviewing our ends policy. That's our mission. Outreach to our member owners is always a priority. Communication to our owners and shoppers is a priority. board development. Always looking for board members, and we're always looking for input from you, from the members. And lastly, we are working with staff, working together for outreach, for telling our story, for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and with the great 80th anniversary. As you know, it was a little too crazy this year and we're short-staffed, so we're unable to have a big celebration. We're planning to have an 80th anniversary celebration in the spring. And lastly, I want to express my deep gratitude to our dedicated and talented and very professional board of directors who are volunteering their knowledge and time for this very special organization. And the board would love to hear from all of you, your concerns and questions, as well as your satisfaction. So let us know what you're thinking. And thank you very much. So I checked the agenda here. Carol, as a treasurer, I think we're going to move on to your report.
Okay, thank you, Michael. That's a lot of information you just imparted.
We do a lot of work.
Yes, well, I agree with Michael. We have a great board, and it is such a pleasure to work with every member that is on this board right now. It's been a lot of fun. It's been challenging, and we accomplished so much. So, Matthew, you have a screenshot? There we go. So as Michael said, we have had the best year the co-op has ever had in its history in terms of our bottom line. So for the first time ever, I don't even remember a year when we made $100,000, never mind $208,000 profit before taxes. So in that regard, it was a challenging year. Our year runs from July 1st. So that would have been in the fairly beginning of the pandemic, not knowing what the year was going to be. It ends on June 30th. And it just blew us away when we saw how each quarter was doing better than the last one. And in quarters where we generally like our third quarter, which is January through March, that's a quarter when we always lose money. And for the first time that I can remember, it was a profitable quarter as well. So kudos to Ed for his really strong fiscal management of the co-op. And so we were on a good roll. We had finally broken that 4.2, 4.3, and we were up to 4.5 million in sales, and then we get the pandemic. So our sales did drop from the previous year, but it's understandable considering that the deli was closed, and that represents a good chunk of our income. So as you can see, our current assets, we've got $500,000 in pretty much in cash and inventory, and the highest we've ever had. Our liabilities, you can see our total liabilities have been reduced, and that's as we pay off our loan on the expansion. And then moving down to the profit and loss, you can see, fiscal year 2020, which ended in June of 2020, and then to this year, which ended up June of 21, we reduced our sales, increased our profit. So the board is very pleased with the results from this last year. I don't know what other shots you have. There we go. Okay, so this is just another snapshot of our sales. Another
And Carol, this is the last, sorry, this is the last slide I have.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this is always one that I pay a lot of attention to, which is how much we sell to members. So I believe this is the first year that we've broken 50% of sales. So 54% of our sales were sold to members. And that number represents more than just a percent. That number represents how much of our profit that we are able to keep in the co-op, which is what allows us to distribute patronage dividends. So 54% of the profit, so let's round it off, say 200,000, so $100,000 of our profit would not be taxable as long as the co-op distributes at least 20% of that. So $20,000 would be the minimum that we would distribute to our members. But I believe this year we will probably see a little bump to that amount, which is great. And then member owner growth, as you can see, we generally grow about 100 members a year, a little bit less this past year. Again, the pandemic changed a lot. So we just keep increasing membership. We're going to have more members than we have people in town soon. So, and I believe, Ed, I think about 35% of the sales that the store does are to out-of-towners, and a number of them become members over time. So we are in great shape. And I thank Ed and the staff for, wow, all their hard work during the pandemic and keeping the store running under some really challenging conditions, and which continue right now. As Michael said, there's shortages. You know, they'll order maybe 5 pallets of goods and get in 3. And so when you see the shelves bare, it's not because they're not doing their job. It's because distributors are not able to supply all their customers with all their needs. So hope everybody understands that when they're shopping and can't necessarily get what they're looking for. So anybody have any questions? Okay. Oh. Anybody? No? Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Myself, and thank you, Carol. Really appreciate your work and going through all these numbers and staying on top of things and keeping us on the straight and narrow.
Thanks, Michael.
And it does make it a lot easier when there's a significant profit at the end of the year.
Yes, it sure does. I mean, one thing you mentioned, it was great that we were able to still end up with a profit after we invested in a deck, and we invested in new produce schoolers. And I believe, Ed, you can correct me if I'm wrong, in some updated refrigeration that's more energy efficient. So the fact that we have money to be able to invest in our infrastructure and still have money left over to save for our rainy days.
Thanks again, Carol. If anyone has questions, they can just put them in the chat box. So that brings us to our well-loved general manager, Ed Powers. And we can't thank you enough for the great job you've done, Ed. And we're just glad you're working with us. We appreciate working with you. And it's time for your report.
Okay, well, I hope I won't repeat too many of that. There was some stuff that I did want to go into detail from a lot of the stuff that you guys mentioned, but as Carol said, you know, I'll start with a lot of our successes. And you know, it was nice when we sat down for our yearly managers retreat to start, you know, the budgeting for this current year that we're in. That, you know, we had one of those large post-it pages with our successes, and you know, after a half hour, we had to flip the page because we had done so much, you know, and it was just really, you know, it just started the day off in such a really great positive note. And this team that we have, you know, and I know that, like, you know, the staffing certainly has been a challenge this year, but the team that we have has just done so much work in a time that's really we should just be treading water, and we've really been able to kind of take that next step, even while we're trying to, deal with all these daily challenges, and get, move forward, which is, I think, one of the biggest successes as a whole. So yeah, as Carol mentioned, we were able to get new produce coolers. Those are replacing coolers that were 18 years old, and they are more efficient. We were able to pay off all of our member loans, which have been on the books, since I think 2008 is when we took those out for when we did an initial smaller expansion. We were part of the Everyone Eats program, which I'm also really proud about, which is a program that provides free food for people through the state, a grant through the state that our kitchen was able to, actually this picture that you see on the general manager's report there, those are Everyone Eats meals. So they had a certain percentage of local in them as a requirement. And we're able to, people come in with an app and, are basically able to walk out the store with free food. So it supported local people, it supported us, and that we got money for the food that we made, and it gave free food to people in need of our community. So that was a really great program all around, and that's going through the end of December. So again, really good job with that team if you ever run into anyone from the Everyone Eats program. We also got a new welcome rug up front, just making sure that, it says on it, everyone welcome, and, that replaced 2 separate rugs. And I know that seems small, but like, it's really the first thing you see when you come into the store, and something, we really wanted to focus on this year is making sure that everyone does feel welcome. And we'll get to some other stuff with that later. Also the new deck that we built as well. And one thing that wasn't mentioned, that was built by a local builder, Matt Ewald, and his team, who's doing a great job. And actually we're getting an estimate for the tennis club to have him do our deck as well. So really, he did it really quickly, and it's just a beautiful deck. We get so many comments on it daily. It just looks fantastic. Also, I think it's important to note that everything that was done in those things that I've mentioned, was done without incurring additional debt. And that was, the NCG, one of the things they provide is, financial guidance. And during this time, especially at the real height of COVID, building cash in case you needed to close. There were stores that had to close due to COVID exposure. And so, you still have to pay your vendors and stuff. So building cash and not incurring too much debt was part of their overall plan that they really coached us up on. And again, a really great service from NCG. Another success is that, recently, we were really able to get the deli reopened. They're about 40% over last year. Last year they were just opening up. So it's really nice to see Diana and her team just really putting the work in. Diana is, I feel like she's there when I come, she's there when I leave. She's just there all the time. And she's hired a really good staff so far. And I'm really happy to say that for this past Sunday, we're open 7 to 7 now for the first time since we closed the deli during COVID. So that's really big success. It's taken a long time to do. And that's all due to her and the work that she's done, because it has not been easy. She's tried to do it a few other times and was just unable to do it. So as well as the hot bar being open, limited right now, but definitely for lunch, you'll be able to come in and sometimes for dinner on the weekends as well. So we're really working on getting that back to full steam as well. But if you are in the store, please take time to say hi to Diana, because again, she's someone who's really invested in the co-op and is really just a really great, one of my best hires in the last 5 years for sure. Really happy about that. DEI work Michael mentioned, and that's something, that we were, I'd say we did a lot of work in the spring, and then when summer hit us, it really we had to take a little bit of a step back. But in a national meeting in the NCG this past week, and this is again another example of the National Co-op Group stepping up for all its stores. They've paid for training starting in March for every co-op in the group. I think it's about 140 co-ops. 11 members from each co-op can go to this DEI training. And they said, if you have more than that, contact us, we'll get it done. So that's big for us. That's our management team plus some. So we're really excited about that. As a smaller store, we can't afford a lot of this training. So this is something that they've paid for, they've contracted. Really simple, all we have to do is sign up. So we'll be doing even further work starting here in the spring. On one of these slides earlier too, you saw a guy with a lawnmower. That was Justin Benergal, and he's our groundskeeper this year. I just want to give him a shout out because he's been really instrumental to making that outside area look really great. Even if you look around the deck, he did all the plantings around the deck. It's something he's really passionate about, and he always has a ton of great ideas, including next year, we're going to do a little herb garden for the deli and possibly some tomatoes out back there. And so he's just, if you see him out working, you know, again, someone who's really invested in the mission of the co-op, and he's just a go-getter, and I just absolutely love him. He's done so much great work for us. We also able to pay the largest bonus to co-op employees for that last fiscal year, which is really nice as well. You know, when we get to some challenges, staffing was definitely a big part of those challenges. And so these guys really put the extra time in to make sure that we're still running and, you know, show up every day, even when, you know, they were shorthanded and had to do extra work. In the midst of doing, but we're redoing after the last staff handbook update was in 2017. So, you know, it's about time to kind of relook at that and make sure that that's up to date. And I did want to talk, you know, the profit, you know, was certainly a success for us. Is not our big motivator, but I saw something from Patagonia recently, which I thought was really nice. Is like, you know, it's not a motivator for us, but when we see profit like that, that's a good sign for us. That tells us we are meeting community's demands and they are rewarding us by shopping at our business. So, you know, that's really the way we like to look at it. You know, when we're in our managers meeting, it's always the last thing that we talk about. It's never the first thing, but again, it is a nice measure of success that, you know, people want to support us and want to support what we're doing. And for those of you here early, you know, we saw a lot of the donations that we give back to our community. And that's really what we're able to do when we are profitable. So I personally like to see that as well. Mike also talked about the NFCA a little bit. And, you know, two things just really quickly that NFCA have done just in the past 2 or 3 weeks is they've done a job board for us. So when we have an open position, we can post that on their job board. And that's really great. You know, it's a really nice central place for co-op specific positions. And literally yesterday, they put out a equipment listserv for all the co-ops. So if you're looking for shelving, refrigeration, and another co-op has some that they're trying to get rid of or move, they're going to have that all in a central place as well. And that's something I've been looking for a long time because, you know, instead of going out and buying new, there's a lot of people that, you know, have stuff available. And then also I found out at the National Co-op that there are 2 new co-ops to our group. Assabet Co-op in Assabet, Massachusetts has just joined our group, and Greenbelt in Greenbelt, Maryland has also joined the group, which is also nice. We did lose one co-op during COVID. They went out of business, but, you know, we put 2 on there. So really great to see. I'm going to jump on to challenges here. I don't want to keep this too long. As Carol mentioned, major out of stocks is a big issue for us right now, especially coming into the holidays. One of the things we've tried to mitigate that with is using a new distributor called KHE. That's another thing that NCG has set up for all the co-op groups. Using just UNFI as our main distributor was sort of a single point of failure from an engineering kind of perspective. And so, you know, their staffing shortages are really starting to affect us. So this gives us another broad, you know, way to kind of incur less out of stocks and get more regular deliveries. Adrian, our HR and finance manager, has been really doing her best to help our own labor shortages. This is, in my 21 years at the co-op, this is the worst labor I've ever seen in terms of trying to get people. And it's just been struggle. You know, it's not only are we able to not hire people, but some of the people that we hire they're just hard to retain right now. So we're really trying to work on making sure people are engaged at the co-op from day one. They know what the co-op is. They're really invested there. And Adrian's been doing a great job working double time. And I think even she didn't expect, you know, to be doing as much work in HR as she is, but she's really doing a fantastic job. And I wanted to highlight that as well. A couple other things from the national meeting. The whole group of co-ops as a chain for the national group, the whole group was up about 5%. And that includes, you know, with most stores closing their fresh prepared foods. So strange to say, but, you know, honestly, COVID was good for the chain in that, you know, it really bolstered some sales, kind of got a lot back to local. You know, some of the challenges we're seeing now too is that food inflation for this year is up 6.9%, and that's just grocery inflation. So that's also expected to keep climbing as the holidays come and supplies dwindle more. So we're really trying to make sure that, you know, we're doing more forward buying so that we do have what the community wants when they want it. And that's pretty much all I have. Again, I'd like to just say, you know, before we get into the member report and the roundup report, that the staff, the board, and the community. I'll start with the staff. You guys mentioned it already, but you know, I would absolutely not be in this position right now if I didn't have the management team, especially that I have. they all support me in really great ways, and no one's I tell them I need their input to make good decisions on a lot of things, and every one of them is supportive in a really good way. And it's, again, like, this has been a really challenging time for everybody, and we've all really come together and been able to kind of keep the store going and going in a positive way. And then just the staff as well as a whole. The people that we do have are just really great, and I don't even know how to quantify that, but it's still really fun to go to work, and I think that's really important as the co-op does face these challenges. And then of course the board, yeah, you guys have been really awesome this year, and I attended a few board meetings before my time as a general manager with Robin, but I think that just from my gauging now, I think you guys have really stepped it up in terms of the level that you're working at. And it's just really, it's great for me. It's great for the co-op. It's great for the community. And I wanted to thank you guys all for that as well. That's pretty much all I have on that. I can go to membership right away, or I don't know if you want to step aside with that for now.
You could go right into membership, Ed.
Okay. So right now we'd hoped to reach 2,000 by this meeting, but we're a little bit short. We're about 1979 for this year so far. That's an increase of 15 since August. So we have 11 full paid members and 4 Food for All members, which is nice to see. Our Food for All membership had kind of flatlined, so it's nice to see a little bit of an increase there since August. And that's definitely due to us publishing it more and really making a more concerted effort to make sure that that's out there in the community. And yeah, so we're happy with those numbers. I think Carol's said about 1955, right? So not a huge increase for this year, but also our traffic overall is still less than it has been in past years. And as she said, there's only so many people in the community, but we definitely have been able to capture some new people moving to the area, and that's certainly our focus here coming in the next year.
Thanks very much, Ed. And once again, thanks for your work.
Thank you.
It's not always easy, but it's been a pleasure working with you.
Me as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move on to the election results. I'm going to need a little help here. McKenna, were you going to deliver these?
No, I have those, Michael. I'm ready. I have the results here.
Great. Okay. What's the good
Yep,
news?
so I'm happy to report that elected for a 3-year term are Carol Berry, Peggy O'Toole, and Ellen Strong. So that's wonderful news for us. And then
Yes.
for the Roundup Fund distributions, the 3 organizations that were elected to
I'm afraid you've frozen up, Wendy.
Putney Food Shelf. All right, I'm going to stop my video and see if that helps. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you'll need to start over with the awards winners.
Okay, for the Roundup Fund distributions, Food for Kids, which is through the Putney Food Shelf, Putney Community Cares, and the Putney Central School Farm to School Project. So 3 wonderful organizations.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Wendy.
Sure.
So that brings us to questions and answers. If you can just put a note in the chat box, or we don't have a whole lot of people here, so you could probably speak up. I think we could control that. Just take yourself off mute. And first, I'll ask if Eva has any questions this year. We'd love to hear from her. Her iPad is still there, but I'm not sure Eva's still there. Yes, she is. I can see things moving around there. Okay. Eva, do you have any questions for us or comments? You'll have to take yourself off mute if you do. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? We'll take most comments. The positive ones are better appreciated. But
Michael, I do have a question for Ed for a little bit more clarity on the deli hours and what's being served and when is.
So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
So right now, you know, we're opening 7 to 7, you know, which is, we were opening initially 7 to 2 when we first opened due to staffing shortages. And then for about 2 or 3 weeks, we were able to 7 to 4, and now we're 7 to 7. So as a regular thing, you know, assuming no one calls out because we do, again, have shortages, but we like to do breakfast burritos in the morning and, you know, made to order, you know, bacon, egg, and cheese and that sort of thing. You know, you can get those regular menu all day long. And then usually about 11 o'clock, they put out the hot bar. So we have hot bar at lunch every day. And then right now, when I talked to Diana last, the plan was basically to refresh that at 3 o'clock. So that food will come off the hot bar, and then either the same thing, a fresh batch of the same thing will be put out, or another, you know, another round of that. And then that'll be out on the hot bar until about 6:30. And then they'll pull that. And, you know, again, you know, the deli will close at 7. There'll be someone cleaning until, you know, 7:30 or 8. But
Okay,
right now, that's, you know, the plan.
and you can get sandwiches up until
Yeah,
6
up
o'clock?
until 7 o'clock. Yep.
Okay, and so the hot bar is during the week and weekends?
Yes.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I do have a question in the chat box that Eva typed in. Eva was wondering who planted the black currants outside of the co-op. I don't know, Ed, if you know the answer to that question.
Which side of the co-op are they on? I might be able to tell you that. I mean, I would guess it would be Justin, in that, like I said, he's a go-getter and loves the work. So we were sort of lucky to find him as we were looking for a new grounds person. And so I would say it's a 99% chance that it was him. But, you know, again, it was really nice to find someone who's passionate about it and has a lot of great ideas. And you know, he even cleaned out all the front beds and mulched them all in the spring. And so, yeah, I'll go with him for now.
Well, it's always good to see that Eva appreciates the finer things in life.
That's right, right.
So it's good to hear from her. Okay, folks, if there are no more questions, I think we're going to get to wrapping up the evening. I'd like to, again, ask everyone to get in touch with the board. Let us know what you think. We appreciate any communication. And if you know anyone who'd be interested in serving on the board, please encourage them to do so. It's been a pleasure working for the co-op, and I know that's true of all the board members. Not always easy, but it's really satisfying. It's a really notable and fabulous organization that we're fortunate to have in our community. And Louise says a big general thank you to the board and staff, and thank you, Louise. But good of you to tune in. So if there are no more other questions, we'll let everyone go back to their other lives. And thank you all for coming, and thank the staff and Ed in particular, and also the fabulous board. You guys are terrific and doing a great job. Thank you.
Well, Michael, thank you for your leadership of the board. It's a big job that nobody else
Yep.
wants. So thank you for always stepping up every year and taking on that role. You do a great job.
Absolutely, for sure, Michael. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol and Wendy.
Yes, thanks, Michael.
Appreciate it. You're welcome.
And thank
Okay,
you, Ed.
well, we'll see you all at the co-op.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Matthew, for your help.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Matthew.
Made it a lot easier and smoother.
Yeah. And Ruth made an appearance too. So
Yes, she did. She likes these Zoom meetings,
she
doesn't she?
does.
Great. Bring you up right, Matthew.